Hi sewing friends, Janae here, and I am back to share with you more exciting quilting things. And I wanted to share with you about 5 things today. I hope this video isn't too long, but I'll try to make it quick. But my whole thought and idea is to kind of base my videos off of experiences, fabric hauls, adventures. I love going on adventures, and an adventure for me might be a new quilt shop. Actually, might be a quilt shop that I go to all the time. It could be a new city that I visit. I tend to love to go to new places, and sometimes it's just for one night to scope things out, to see if there's a quilt shop there, and then the next time try somewhere else. So you never know where my adventures will take me, but I want to show you where I went a couple days ago, and it's a new I'm sorry, it's not a new place. It's a place that has been in Salem, Oregon for a while, but I just hadn't been there in a while. So, fabric haul first. So, the name of the quilt store that I went to is called the Cotton Patch. It's in Kaiser, Oregon, and it is the sweetest little shop. They used to be a bit bigger, and then they downsized, and it's just basically one room. It's a pretty good sized room. Unfortunately, I didn't take pictures because I'm really bad at that. I'm so sorry. But I will tell you that that one room is packed with a lot of good fabrics. So I want to show you what I got. So the first thing I got is this rock solid book, and it is by Karen Burns. I have seen this book many times. I wasn't super interested in it until I saw all of my solids in my fabric stash, and I was like, I have got to make some of these quilts out of all that solid fabric that I have. So I purchased this book. It is a fabulous book. It has lots of neat quilts in it, 13 to be exact, and they're just beautiful. They're stunning with the solid fabrics, and I was even imagining using prints with some of these patterns, and I think that would be fabulous. Okay, I got some great kind of Eastery fabric, springtime fabric. Don't you just love the colors? The lavender and the orange. Oh, so cute. I just bought it because I loved it. And this is kind of a orangey red with little turquoise flowers. So cute. And honestly, I just got a yard of each of my favorites because sometimes you just don't know what you're going to do with them, and so a yard is always safe, I guess. Some people say 2 yards, but my stash is overflowing, and so I tend to go half yard, 1 yard, just so that I don't overdo it. Okay, so the Kaiser quilt shop called the Cotton Patch had these patterns, and I'm going to do a close-up. Sorry, my light is so bright, but these are called Fabric Cafe Bold Blocks, and all the patterns that they had that were little like this by this designer, Donna Robertson, they're all made with 3 yards. 3 yards of fabric. So at the Cotton Patch, if you bought 3 yards in a bundle, you actually got the pattern for free. So I purchased the bundle, and it had the fabric with all the little children in it. I love this fabric so much. And it had a dark brown solid. And then this one, I wanted to open it up with you because they tell me it's an ombre and I haven't seen it yet, but I wanted to look at it together with you. Let's see what kind of fabric it is. Oh my goodness, look at that. So it has all the colors, and that will be used in the pattern that I got. So I think the children go in the big block, and then the ombre goes for the sashing. So it'll be kind of fun to see how I use that. Actually, maybe the dark brown. Well, I'm actually not sure yet. I'll have to read that and figure it out. But anyway, I visited that shop and the Cotton Patch. And if you get a chance, check out their website. I will definitely link it below. All right. So today, I want to talk about rulers. About 7 years ago, I actually posted a video. I think it was maybe the first or second video I ever posted on YouTube. And it is called How to Square a Square. And I think it actually has over 100,000 views. And that's huge for me. Very exciting. I still get comments off of that video, and it's just so much fun. I will have to admit, though, it is not a professional video by any means, and it's kind of slow. And I've definitely had people who say, you know, they don't like that video. But for the most part, I've had so many nice comments from that video that they've said that that video actually, you know, really helped them figure out how to square up a square. And I'm talking about a quilt block square. And using a square like this. And I actually went and purchased the huge 16-inch one, and I have a little guy. So what I wanted to say about rulers is the Creative Grid rulers are becoming my absolute favorite. Absolute favorite. I couldn't get my hands on a 16-inch Creative Grid ruler, so I ended up going with the Omni Grid, which is my second favorite, because I love the markings on it. They're super easy to see through the markings and see where the sizes are. Let me tell you about Creative Grids. So Creative Grids has this texture on the backside that makes them non-slip. So I actually have a piece of blue tape on there, which is to mark my measurement where I'm going to cut. And if you're curious about how to square up a square, go back to my other video from a long time ago, and it talks about using the blue tape on the square. But these Creative Grids have this, like I said, this texture, and it really just runs the outside of the square. And they also have dots with the texture, and it is amazing for keeping your fabric nice and flat while you square something up. Now I want to tell you that even though this is a 5-inch square, I can cut anything square under that 5-inch size. So I can use this to do a 1-inch square, a 2-inch, 2.5, all the sizes under 5 inches. So even if I have a square that's huge, like the 16-inch, I can square up anything under that size with that size ruler. So if that doesn't even make sense, I encourage you to go back and watch my video, because I show how to mark the square so that you can do all the sizes. So if a quilt block says square it to 6 inches, you do not need to run out and buy a 6-inch square. Okay, I promise you. I used to think that, and I'd search all over for, you know, that perfect square size. And, well, they don't have them because they don't have them in all the sizes. They only have them in like, you know, like a 5-inch, a 6-inch, a 9-inch, a 12-inch, and then the huge 16-inch ones. So go back and watch my video, and it shows you how to square up anything under that size of a ruler. And if you want a ruler that does not slip when you cut a square, purchase the Creative Grids. They're the best. So I've actually been working on a quilt where I am trimming these little guys down to 1 1/4, and having the Creative Grids ruler that doesn't slip is really the key to getting these cut perfectly to the right size, because a ruler without the grippies is going to twist just a little bit when you're trying to trim these up. So, okay, so as promised in my last video, I talked about my earrings, but I have to say, well, I have to apologize. These earrings are not Michelle F's. These come from a shop named Francesca's, and aren't they fabulous? Those are good ones too. I just love earrings. But I promise in the future I will be wearing Michelle F earrings again, and I will let you know when I do wear them. But Francesca's is a great shop too. I love to go to it. And I believe they have a website, and they also have stores all over the United States. So anyway, so I wanted to talk a little bit about this book. It's the Red and Green Quilt book, and this one is actually by, well, it's by Martingale Press, and each of the quilts in the book are actually by different people. So it's a neat book, and when I saw this, I fell in love with it immediately because I've always loved the this colorway, but the quilts in this book just were very user-friendly. They have really good instructions, cutting instructions, instructions for the quilt, and so I decided to make 2 of them. So in my last video, I showed you a block of one of the quilts that I am making, and I am doing, let's see, this one is called, I have to look, Heritage Mountain. And Heritage Mountain is by Cheryl Johnson. And isn't that just a gorgeous, gorgeous quilt? But I will tell you this. One of the things that I didn't realize when I decided to make this quilt is that those little tiny well, they're half square triangles around the red triangles are the 1 1/4 inch half square triangles. And I think I have to make like over 800 of those. So I was like, what did I get myself into? But one of the things that I did to start the process of making this quilt was I actually just made a photocopy of the cutting page, and I cut out all of the pieces at the same time. So I think it took me maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and I just cut out all the pieces at once. And I could check them off because I didn't care about writing on my photocopy page, which I do that pretty often. You know, as long as it's for personal use, you know, it's okay to photocopy, check it off, make your notes, and that way you're not writing in your actual book. And then I got one of these flip top cases. They're the 12 by 12 cases, which are wonderful for keeping your projects in. And I have all my pieces inside the box. And I've even labeled them with little pieces of scratch paper and pins so that I know which piece is which. Because I'm telling you, these pieces are tiny, really tiny. So, so I am making the Tudor, no, let me tell you. The second quilt I'm making is the Tudor Rose. So the first one is the Heritage Mountain, and the second one's the Tudor Rose. So let me show you the Tudor Rose, and then I'll show you the block that I'm working on. So Tudor Rose is also in this book, and that one is an applique quilt. And that one looks like that. Isn't that just absolutely gorgeous? Ah, gorgeous. Now, if I ever can actually finish it, that will be a miracle. But I hopefully plan on it. So this one's by Karen Stiles, and it's called Tudor Rose. And most all of it is applique, and it's broken up into blocks, and then you just applique the blocks, and then you sew those blocks together, and then you do the border, which I think is also appliqued. And so let me tell you, I have that also in a project box. Love these project boxes. I have to tell you, another favorite fabric company of mine is called Rifle Paper Company, and they are out of Florida, and they started out, I think it's a husband and wife, they're artists, and they started doing stationery and things like that, and then they I think they just became so popular with their designs, they decided to go into fabric. And then they also do home decor now, like rugs and mugs and, you know, all sorts of pillows and things like that. But maybe someday I'll show you my fabric stash from them. But I ended up buying this fabric for the flowers on my Tudor Rose, and I ended up finding a really good green and then a pink pinstripe. It's hard to see, it's too bright, for the block as well. So I cut out all my pieces. I just do needle turn applique, and this is the block that I've pinned together. So I think the red and the pink I have already sewn down, and I'm working on sewing the green stems. And those are flowers. They kind of look like cactus, but they're flowers. So I have one block that's put together, and it's kind of a good project that I can take when I go somewhere, because I don't need a machine to work on it. And so I'm just going to do needle turn applique on that. And I just use template plastic for needle turn applique. I mark all the shapes on the template plastic, and then I cut them out. I mark them on my fabric, cut them out with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then that is those are ready for the needle turn applique. So those are my red and green quilts that I have started and that I'm working on, and I will hopefully be able to keep you updated on the progress of those, but I will say that these quilts are long-term projects that probably I'll be working on for a while. But like I showed you in my last video, I did finish one block from the Heritage Mountain. And do you see those little guys? They are smaller than an inch when they're finished. I just had no idea when I picked that quilt out that those squares would be so small. But I will say that I have been quilting for 25 years, and doing something that small is still a challenge for me. I really have to work on the pressing and the cutting, the pressing, and all those things. Getting my 1/4 inch seam just right. You know, really with something like this, it's really best to go a scant 1/4 inch. And a scant 1/4 inch is going to be about 1 needle's width smaller than your actual 1/4 inch. So I just suggest do some practicing before you actually, you know, start sewing tiny little pieces, because you really want them to fit together when you go to fit all this, you sew all this together. So you want all those pieces to be as exact as possible. That is just something about quilting that you really kind of have to work at, but it is not impossible. And even if you can't get the 1/4 inch perfect, it's still okay. I mean, I tell my students, because I've been teaching quilting a long time, I tell my students that if you look really closely at an antique quilt made from a long time ago, the seams are not perfect. Even though you may think it's perfect, they are not perfect. But you know, we still love them. We love those antique quilts that are heirlooms. And you know, those are some of the most beautiful quilts. When I go to a quilt show, I'm looking for the antique quilts, because you know, the stitches are just mesmerizing. I mean, if the quilt has been hand quilted and even hand pieced, you know, it's just amazing. And I think that might have really been what drew me into quilting in the first place, was just the intricacy of quilting. You know, it's something where you get really intimate with thread and needle, and you're sewing those little pieces of fabric together, and I just think there's something so special about that. So I'm not going to keep you a minute longer, but I want to tell you that I have so much more that I want to share with you. And it's funny because I was thinking about this right before I videotaped today. I don't feel like I'm that old, but I feel like I'm old enough to know that I'm really not somebody who puts a lot of stuff on Instagram. But I love doing these videos for YouTube, and I hope that you find them enjoyable too. I love sharing with you about quilting. It's definitely my passion. It has been for a long time. And I just want to share, you know, fun things with you to spark your love for quilting as well, or sewing, whichever the case may be. I will sew pretty much just about anything, but you know, it's just a fun thing. And I do want to do one more shout out to Anna over on Quilt Roadies, who has really sparked my love of quilting in the past few months with her videos, because she has such great videos. And she's been doing videos on different quilt shops in Oregon, and that's always fun to see the quilt shops that she's visited. So anyway, have a great day, and I will see you soon. All right, bye-bye.